oldest nephew, and let me thank everyone on behalf of my family. Let me thank everyone for coming today to share a few of our memories of Emmy. Emmy was a terrific aunt. She was a unique aunt. She was an adventurer, and I think she really always tried to convey that to the three of us. I was just thinking last night about sort of what made her such a terrific aunt. And in a nutshell, I think it's that she introduced the three of us, both directly and indirectly, to so many new and different things. When I was about 5 years old, Emmy took me with her on her winter vacation to Florida. And just thinking about that, I mean, the thought to me of taking somebody else's 5-year-old son, especially with no experience as a parent, on my winter vacation for a week, I would be terrified. But not Emmy. Emmy wasn't. Being terrified really wasn't in her makeup. As it turned out, I got the mumps right before that trip began. So Emmy flew ahead of me, and I ended up flying alone as a 5-year-old down to Florida to meet her. So that was an adventure she gave me indirectly, and probably an adventure for the flight attendants as well. And I got to experience winter in Florida as a 5-year-old, which was great. About 13 years later, when I was a freshman at Stanford in Northern California, at the beginning of spring break, Emmy flew out to meet me, and she rented a car, and we drove down the coast of California on Highway 1. My family was living in Los Angeles at the time, and so we ended up there, but we stopped along the way. We stayed at a bed and breakfast in Big Sur, and I had been in California at the time for, I guess, for about 6 months, but I had never seen the spectacular coast, so that was a great thing she gave me. And I was thinking about this too last night. You know, I was driving age at the time. I had been driving for a couple of years, but Emmy rented the car, and she never really suggested that I drive, and I foolishly never asked. Jean was mentioning, and she's right, that Emmy was a woman with tremendous talents. I want to be careful here, it's a memorial service, but even 30 years ago, driving was not among us. So, once again, I was, and if anybody's ever driven on Highway 1, it's sort of twisting and turning and mountainous and narrow, and it's a hairy drive in any event. So, once again, I was terrified, and Emmy wasn't. But I have to say the greatest thing Emmy gave to the three of us was Woods Hole. She very generously every summer welcomed our entire family to her 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom cottage to spend a month. My brother may allude to this on the DVD comments that you'll see later, but the sleeping arrangements were, my parents had one room, my 2 younger brothers had another room. I slept on a fold-out couch in the living room, and Emmy slept in a sleeping bag on the porch, which was how she preferred it. And so just so many memories of Woods Hole growing up every summer, going to Knobska Beach every day, learning to swim in the ocean, learning to sail. My brother may allude to this too, but Emmy, when we were young, Emmy bought a small sailboat and a little dinghy, and she christened the boats Andy and Charlie, which were the names of her 2 dogs at the time. And she essentially turned the boats over to us at that point. And so this was just a great, and we had a lot of adventures and misadventures on the boats in the years to come. I remember taking the dogs out to run on the golf course around sunset, which often involved ducking golf balls of the late golfers. She took us to see the College Light Opera Company at Highfield Theater in Falmouth, which was where they did a full production every week of a different musical, including Emmy's favorite, Gilbert and Sullivan. And I was especially into the theater growing up, so it was just a great thing for me to be able to see every week. And actually one summer, when I think I was about 13, Emmy had me come up here for pretty much for the whole summer. I worked as an usher at Highfield, and again had various adventures and misadventures. And thinking back on that, I mean, I think the same thing as the other experience. If taking a 5-year-old kid to Florida for a week is terrifying, and taking a 13-year-old for a month is masochistic, I think. But Emmy was not fazed. We learned some things in Woods Hole that Emmy might not have approved of. I'm thinking about the hours and days and weeks I wasted in the pinball gallery that used to be on Water Street, which I was glad to see yesterday now that I'm a parent. It's now art gallery, but anyway. And later on, Emmy introduced me to some things my parents might not have even known about. I'm thinking in particular about single malt whiskey. In any event, I know Emmy was a proud aunt of the three of us, and in her last years, I know she was proud to be the great aunt of our children, of our 4 children. And I guess my only regret is that my son Dylan didn't get to know Emmy better, because she really was a great aunt, and a great aunt in both senses of the word, I guess. And as I said, she was an original, and we'll all really